Everything is ready. All right, so I'm about to read you guys an excerpt of my book. Thank you. Okay. You gotta hold. Make sure you watch that one. Okay. So last time I was on, I read you guys an excerpt of the book that was in the relationship chapter. So I'm gonna read you guys down a couple of the different chapters. Can you please watch it so it doesn't fall? I gonna read down to you guys a list of the different chapters, and I want you guys to tell me which one you want me to read you an excerpt from. So the first chapter is called I Don't Belong to You. Well, I should say first there's the introduction. Then there's I Don't Belong to You. There's Say Hello to the Real You. The Good Girl, Bad Myth. Let It Flow. With Mind on My Money and My Money on My Mind. Honor Your Mind, Honor Your Soul, and Get That Tattoo. Love Unlimited, which is a relationship chapter. Hold the Phone. Heaven is a Place Called Earth. And hashtag Growing Not Grown. So which one do you guys want to read? Somebody said, say hello to the real you. Somebody said, good girl, bad myth. Somebody said, let it flow. Somebody said, love unlimited. Love Unlimited. Y'all really want to hear from Love Unlimited. Somebody said Growing Not Grown. Somebody said Good Girl, Bad Myth. Okay, Growing Not Grown. Okay, maybe Growing Not Grown. Because I feel like I'm getting a lot of... But then everybody keeps saying Love Unlimited. If people really want to hear about the relationship chapter, which one do you think I should read? Which one should I read?
Grown Not Grown.
Y'all want to read Grown Not Grown? Not Grown is the last chapter, though. Alright. That's what I'm seeing a lot of. So I'll just do Growing Not Grown. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Hashtag Growing Not Grown. When I was growing up in Illinois, every Saturday and Sunday, my dad would get up early and go to the old folks' home and help out, donate blood at the blood bank, and volunteer at a homeless shelter. He eventually served as a deacon in our church. He didn't make a big deal about it. I'd ask him where he was off to go, and he'd say, going to see a man about a dog. I hated when my parents said that. LOL. Very early on, I understood there was something important he was doing. However, it took many years before I would really understand personally how substantial service is to life. When he started to truly study to become a deacon, I realized that what a major part of his practice that was, and we were proud of him for giving up his free time to do it. I could see that it brought joy to my father to do for others. I often heard my dad speaking with members of our church about what needed to be done in the community and how it could be accomplished. He was always about the people, and not just black people because we black, LOL, but everyone. As a boy, his family called him Michael, like Michael, the character in the television show Good Times, because he was all about the community, or the kids, as I would say. Hashtag destiny. My dad raised me to believe that we have a responsibility to other humans around us. This will be a major theme in my life, though it took me a while to really step outside of myself and realize what it meant to practice it. I have always been a people lover, and I used to get my feelings hurt often, caring so much about how other people felt about things that didn't concern me. Ha ha ha. My mother always made me feel like that was a special thing. Yet deep down I knew that having strong feelings was better than not having any at all. It took a really long time for me to understand emotions. For whatever reason, I always had an affinity for people and a strong empathy for others. I hated for anyone to be in pain. I believe that quality plays a huge part in my personality. I know what it is like to struggle. I know what it's like to have to deal with dark feelings. And I have nothing but love for others who have sacrificed and fought, even when they are over my head. I grew up and I had many friends whose families were barely getting by. My parents didn't have it easy, and they did all kinds of things to try to get us a better life. As a child, I remember feeling not actually intellectualizing, but feeling sometimes the sadness for my family. I so badly wished for our household to never suffer. No one spoke about it, and that made the feelings I had so much harder to express. My family and I were poor in our Illinois hometown days, but back then, we had most of our intimate family moments. We often had movie night, and I remember watching the movie Claudine about a poor single mother in Harlem, played by Diane Carroll. She had to hide her job as a maid so she could still get welfare because she couldn't keep her family together otherwise. That was a personal reality for us, and one for many people in our community. Both of my parents always worked, but it was years before I realized that lady we cleaned up for, who came to visit us every so often, worked for Section 8, the federal program that provides subsidizing housing for low-income tenants. And she was checking to make sure that my family was qualified to live there and met all the requirements. So just to break it up for a second, what I'm saying at this point is that, like, it took me a while to realize, I think, being from Chicago, like living in my hometown, that we were poor. Even though I knew we didn't have name brand stuff or little stuff like that, it didn't really bother me because I had so much love in my household. But after I thought back on it, I realized that, damn, we was on Section 8. You know what I mean? And the lady came when my dad wasn't around and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Anyhow, I'm going to read a little bit more before I stop. I realized later that it's such a systematic game for people in poverty to qualify for federal subsidies. It was personal for me and other African Americans who grew up in poverty. Either it was not helping the people who needed it well enough, or it was pigeonholing the community from being independent. Too often people really believe the lie that they can go no further than where they are. After I moved to California, though my options in life got bigger, I also realized a sense of community is often stronger in towns like the ones I grew up in, or at least I know it was strong in Robbins. We had problems, but the people who lived in our little town were very close. We knew the cops, the post office workers, and the county government members. My relationship with my family and my overall sense of community got worse when we moved to California. Back in Robbins, we were poor, but we had one another. Family was most important in Robbins because we weren't easily distracted by things. We had very little, but at times, a little was enough. All righty. Let me catch up to what you guys have been saying because I can't see what y'all been saying while I'm reading, of course. So, hold on. Let me look now. I'm just reading what you guys are saying. Aww. Alright, now let me read what's happening over here. Oh, they're saying that they're having bad service. Can you hold this, please? They're saying that they're having bad service. Aww. I feel like my service was bad.
What's that? I mean,
could you guys hear the excerpt that I was reading for the book? I feel so badly if my service was bad. Mika_S says, how did you become comfortable with being yourself? Because honestly, that was all that I could be. There was really no other options for anyone else to be. Honestly, I just got so tired of, caring about what other people said about me. Because honestly, no matter what you do in life, even if you did everything right, apparently, whatever that is, people are never going to be satisfied. You get what I'm saying? So I just realized early on that there's no point in trying to fit into everybody's box. It's better for me to just be myself and to set my own standard for things.
Read what I'm saying.
Anybody have any questions? Terica James said, I like it. So much of it is from your perspective as well as your dad's and surrounding people. Yeah, the book is definitely filled with my observations of the family that, my family and how I grew up. But then also, from my own shoes, my point of view of it, as well as, how I interpreted the world that was around me. Some of them said they could hear parts of it, but not all of it. Let me see what they're saying over here. Anybody have any questions, or if you guys want to, if you maybe want me to read a little bit more of another chapter. I don't know, I feel so bad that if some of you guys didn't hear it. Just want to make sure you guys were able to hear everything I said. Because I know the chat was about, the excerpt. Pre-orders are available now. Shanice just asked where she can get a copy. Pre-orders are available now. But the, book doesn't come out until the 31st. The Thy Sweet Love says, why did you decide to write a book? I decided to write a book because I felt like so much of my life was similar to others. Like, I felt like so many people watch my career and they sit back and think they can't do the things I can do because they think I came from a privileged lifestyle. I'm trying to let y'all know immediately. I've been through some shit, y'all. Some real shit. I don't come from, glitter and glow. The reason why I'm in the entertainment business is because my parents believed in God. Honestly, my parents believed in God so much that they saw him in my eyes, and they decided to drive 4 days and 3 nights to California to help me pursue my dreams, because they believed that if what they felt was true and I was able to succeed in whatever fashion that meant, that it would be a testimony to other people that they can be whatever they want to be, because God is real and God will carry you if you're coming from a true place. And we were coming from a true place. Like, I love to sing, I love to dance, I love to bring joy to others, and honestly, that's why my parents uprooted their lives. If you honestly think about it, it's kind of insane what they did. I come from a poor community. My daddy drew his pension. My daddy drew his pension in order for me to be able to, pursue my dreams. When you actually sit back and think about it, so it's just like, whoa. I actually came to California, drove 4 days and 3 nights. At 23 years old, I'm still in the industry, and I have a book to write the testimony about all of it. Guys, God is real. And that's why to this day, I'm so grateful to my parents, because that's the number one thing they taught me was faith. Faith. I have so much faith in the Lord and myself because of what my parents did for me. They said, you know what, I believe I'm going to follow my daughter's heart. I was a little bitty girl almost, and I want to sing and I want to dance. A little bitty girl. And my mom and my daddy really believed this. But my parents have always been faithful servants. So I guess it was just like they felt it in their hearts and they went with it. And I'm telling you, y'all, it really was God sent how everything happened for us. Literally, we drove 4 days and 3 nights to California. And when we got here, I'm telling you, the first couple of weeks, I got a Kmart commercial. Then next thing you know, I got cast. And to the point that people really thought I was born into the industry. They felt like, it was handed to me. But that was the gag. And that's the gag that my family and we all have, is at the end of the day, it wasn't handed to me. At the end of the day, the cards was against me. At the end of the day, I did grow up on Section 8. At the end of the day, I have experienced abuse, sexual abuse. I have experienced turmoil in my family. My family, we have a strong bond, but we've been through some shit. And the point is not to hide those things, because when we hide those things, we stop other people from being able to envision that life for themselves. Somebody may have gotten abused. Somebody may have been put down. Somebody mama wasn't in their life. Somebody daddy wasn't in their life. Whatever it could have been. And if they don't see that anybody else has gone through that, if people keep acting as if they live these perfect lives, then it really doesn't allow other people to be inspired or motivated to go beyond their current realities. It leaves them in a very position of thinking that they're not good enough for. This life wasn't offered to them to be good. When the reality is, you guys, it doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your daddy did to you. It doesn't matter what your mama did to you. It matters about what you do it yourself. And that is the reality. I manifested my reality because my belief in myself, even when my mom and my daddy, even when they were against me, even when I felt like they didn't see my heart, God always had me. Because he woke me up the next morning. He gave me another chance. He got me up. And so the book is just my testimony to say to all those people out there that don't know the truth or don't fully believe in the truth just yet, you can be it. You can do it. You can do what Keke Palmer does and more. You're actually supposed to. You're actually supposed to see what Keke Palmer does and be beyond it. Because you see me do it. I broke down those barriers. I broke down those doors. And now you break them down for the next one. Just that quick. That's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to keep it going because honestly, that's all that life is about. Helping others and doing things with for others. It's not about you. Honestly. You would just go damn bored sitting here trying to live life just for yourself. I mean, goodness gracious. You have to be looking for something bigger than you. You have to. So, I'm going to read a little bit more of read another little bit of of one of these chapters. You guys tell me what y'all want to what y'all thinking about reading. What y'all thinking about hearing, I should say. You can hold this for me. It didn't show how much battery life. Alrighty. Let me see where y'all are at because I can't see it. Oh. Somebody said they want to read a little bit of Heaven is a Place Called Earth chapter. Alright. Let's do it then.
I just want it to die. It's got 6%.
But yeah, miracles are real. And I know that because if I were to tell you everything I've gone through in my life, based off of what the world thinks, I should be a crackhead by now. Apparently. So the fact that I can sit here with you and I can read to you a book that I wrote, that lets you know that God is real. There's no other reason why. No other reason why. But the Lord. I always been one of those churchy type people, but that's how my grandmother raised me. My grandmother raised me with the Spirit. And that's one thing that I can say, that even when I think about the suffering that African American people have endured in America, it also made black people have faith in the struggle. I think that's why we just... Why somebody said... My sister said my voice sounds so high. Does my voice sound so high? I wonder what it is that's making my voice sound so high-pitched. Somebody else just said my voice sound weird. But, you know, what I was saying was... oh, doggone it. I forgot what I was saying. You remember?
Rennie just got us off that.
Doggone it, you guys. I forgot what I was about to say to you. My sister said my voice sounds like helium. What? Somebody said my voice sounds like the voice changer.
What about now, Rennie? How do we sound?
Does it sound good? They all are saying that it sounds like that.
You think we need to change?
Somebody said Alvin. Oh, are you guys kidding me?
What is it?
They're all lying. They're all lying.
Oh.
Somebody said they're all lying.
Rennie.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, I don't know why it sounds weird on Instagram. If it sounds weird on Instagram, then just go to Facebook, you guys. I'm so sorry about that.
Like a squirrel.
They said it sounds so tiny. I feel bad for them. Anyhow, what I was saying was, I feel like the history that African American people have had with slavery has also given us an undeniable faith or belief in the struggle, knowing that the struggle is necessary in order to, you know, to reach enlightenment in life. Struggle is a part of it all. It's not something that you want to run from. It's not something that's going to scare you. It's something that you should embrace. You should completely embrace it. You know what I mean? Because through our struggles where we find our testimony, where we find our purpose. Make sure we hold this one up because you like added them right in my forehead. They good over here.
It's so weird.
Somebody said your voice is okay. You just delivering the word. You were talking about her and being brought up in the spirit. Okay? I was brought up in... You better say that. I was brought up in the spirit, honey. My grandmother... Matter of fact, we about to go meet Mildred. Let me find out which chapter she's first introduced in, because that's one thing about this whole book writing process. Just the chapters and all that type of stuff. Like, goodness gracious, it's hard to keep up with. Oh my goodness, dear Lord. You know, maybe I should read it from Heaven Is a Place Called Earth. Maybe I should read there, because I'm sure I talk about my grandmother so many different places in this book. So let me go to the let me go to Heaven Is a Place Called Earth, because I know that's going to be a lot about spirituality, and anybody that knows me knows that I sing because I'm happy, and I sing. Literally, you guys, whenever I get scared, like sometimes I'll be coming home late, or, you know, I'll be at the house by myself, and I start to get a little bit scared. You know what I mean? You get a little nervous. Honey, I start singing His Eyes is Very. I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. His eyes on the sparrow, and I know He watches over me. I literally start singing, and I feel like nothing can touch me at that point. Nothing can touch me at that point. I'm just literally about, woo, God is good, and I'm refilled. Anyhow, okay, here we go. I'll read you guys, should I read you guys this? Yeah, here we go. After this, you guys, y'all can't trick me into reading you no more, okay? Y'all been tricking my butt. Here we go. So this is the beginning chapter of Heaven Is a Place Called Earth. The first time I remember trying to conceptualize God was when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was in the back room of my church, a church that I knew existed for as long as I knew I existed. We had spoken about Jesus at home, and I understood Him somewhat. But I asked my sister, Mary Kate, how do I get to God? How could I get to God and get to Jesus? Could I look up in the sky? Before she could answer, I blew a kiss up in the air, hoping it would reach them in heaven. I don't recall what Sister Mary Kate said or did next, but I do remember that for me, it wasn't enough. For a long time, I felt that religion itself wasn't enough for me. My father raised Catholic and my mother was Baptist. I grew up going to St. Peter Claver Missionary Catholic Church in my hometown. Our church was created because 50 years ago, blacks were not allowed to worship at the bigger church. St. Benedict in nearby Blue Island, Illinois, the black Catholics in that area signed a petition, and the archdiocese gave them their own place of worship. So pretty much what I'm saying here is, like, back in Illinois where I'm from, the black folks couldn't go to St. Benedict's to worship, which was in Blue Islands. And then next door was the, predominantly black neighborhood, which was in Robbins. And so they made in Robbins St. Peter Claver Church. Sorry. Reading what you guys are saying. Make sure y'all see what I'm saying. But yeah, my so they gave, the archdiocese gave the black people their own church in Robbins because they weren't able to go to the one in St. Benedict. So that's the church that I grew up in, St. Peter Claver. My father later became a church deacon, and my mom led the choir. My parents always had strong religious beliefs, so not having a real relationship with God was pretty much out of the question. I'm happy they gave me the gift of faith and then allowed me to follow my own path on figuring out what it should or shouldn't mean. Before my mom was the choir director of our church, Mrs. Mary Sabluski led the choir. She was in charge when I first joined. She was a tiny little lady with glasses and a curly fro. She was Polish, and she was a huge part of what made that church so special. Mrs. Sabluski cared a lot about her faith and really used music to translate that. The Catholic Church in general tends to be very rigid. Mrs. Sabluski wasn't that way. She realized that the standard Catholic choir songs were boring us out of our minds. So she recommended we all go home and watch the movie Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit. Literally, one night during choir rehearsal, that was exactly what she did. She had us all go to the nearest Blockbuster, rent the movie, and watch the way they flipped the songs to see if we enjoyed it that way better. Most traditional Catholic music is kind of slow. In the Sister Act movies, Whoopi Goldberg plays a nun who takes traditional church songs and has the choir sing them in a little jazzier way. Something you could move to. Needless to say, after we watched the movie, we enjoyed to sing it that way. Mrs. Zabluski took us to church in a way that we could relate to, enjoy, and experience on a deeper level. When we sang like Whoopi's choir, we could feel the music in our bones and our hearts. We knew that we were tapped into a power that was bigger than ourselves because we were lost in it. Later in life, I realized that our choir director was teaching us a lesson that went beyond music and singing in church. She was showing us that there is joy and peace to be found in everything, in every place in this world, if you are open to looking for it. I'm much more of a spiritual person than I am a religious one, even if I did grow up in church singing every Sunday in the choir. As I've gotten older, though, I've come to understand that religion is the telling of other people's story on their journey of finding God. I believe in personal growth and continual expansion. I know and believe that love is a fighting force in the universe and that God is pure love, and we are expressions of that love. For a long time, I felt that religion as practiced in churches or of my parents and grandmothers weren't enough for me. I felt pressured to follow rules I didn't understand or relate to. The pressure to conform and accept their religion grew worse after my father became a deacon when I was about 7 years old. I also attended my grandmother Davis's church. It was a much different experience, as I mentioned before, because it was so huge. In my home church, almost everyone in the congregation knew one another. My grandma's Baptist church was huge and impersonal. I spent many hours in the church trying not to be bored out of my mind. Hold on. Everybody keeps saying on Instagram that my voice sounds so little. I'm so mad. I'm so mad my voice sounds so little. But anyhow, for those that are just joining in, I'm just reading chapter of my book, almost finished with this excerpt. But I'm just keeping up with what you guys are saying. Somebody said, God is using you to touch people, but mainly young females. Love you. May God bless you. Aw, thank you, Gary. In any event, I'm always trying and looking to be used by God. Otherwise, my life has no meaning. Here we go. I spent most of many hours in that church. So where I'm getting back from is in my I Don't Belong To book. It's my new book that's coming out. And pretty much I'm just talking about this. I'm reading a little bit of this excerpt called Heaven is a Place Called Earth. And it's just about my relationship with God and how I came to know and understand, my spirituality. So I'm talking about how I used to spend time in my grandma's church. I spent most of many hours in that church trying not to be bored out of my mind. When I was a little girl, I looked for this one teenage girl. She could have been a tween. You can't tell when you're little. They're all big to you. LOL. And I would make faces at her, trying to get her to laugh. LOL. I had fun just being a kid. I still do. I wish I knew that girl's name to see what she's up to. Though I didn't always enjoy my grandmother's church because it seemed so serious, I loved what she taught me about spirituality, rituals, and practice. My grandmother would sit me beside her bedside, even though she usually slept in the chair in the kitchen, and pray with me. She taught me this prayer, and we said it together every night. Lord, now lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Maybe the sentiment of trusting God to take care of me provided a sense of peace and security. It was being in church on Sundays with my family, going to vacation Bible school, and praying with my grandmother every night that deeply grounded me in my faith so much as a child that taking breaks from praying almost immediately made me feel empty and lost. Prayer gave me something to hold on to as I began to find my way in the world. It gave me a comfort and a peace that extended beyond people, places, and material things, which is so important to have as we grow. Alrighty. Now that is it. I'm not reading no more. I can't do it. Oh, my grandmother was awesome. She was, God rest her soul. She's not with us anymore, but she was honestly, my hair's all messed up. Hold on. There we go. She was honestly, she meant everything to me. She meant everything to me. And she taught me everything I know. Just reading, looking back at your stuff. Aw, thank you guys so much. Somebody said, is this book okay for an 8-year-old? I think so. I think so. I definitely tried to limit my language. But I think that ultimately the content is good because it's just a young girl growing up, you know. I appreciate all these positive words, you all. The words you're giving me are so uplifting. It's so awesome to see. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all this love. All right, you guys, I'm going to get ready to head off here, but please send me your questions, tweets, Instagrams, everything. Please send it all to me because I'm really looking forward to hearing your feedback. And I can't wait for you guys to read this book. It means so much to me. So much. So God bless you guys, and I'll talk to you all soon, okay? Take care of yourselves.